It's a good question, actually. Do super yacht owners ever bring their mistresses on board? If so, how does that play out with the crew, and what do they call her? What do they call her? I assume you mean, how do they address her? I worked on a yacht, a very, very large yacht that had a cabin that was specifically for the owner. I think it was called the owner's sea cabin, something like that. And it was, so basically, usually the owner's cabin is well, on this particular vessel, the owner's cabin was quite high up, and they usually sit above the bridge. So they've got this panoramic view, or sometimes under the bridge, but it's quite high in the superstructure. So they have another one which is low down, central, which is the best place to be on a vessel when it's rough. So the lower down the better, above the waterline but low down. And the owner brought on a mistress whilst his wife was on board, and yeah, she was basically in this other cabin. So he obviously split his time between the two. How does the crew deal with that? As far as the crew goes, I mean, we would never address anyone by name. It's usually Madame or Ma'am or Miss or whatever, depending on their age. So we would generally use the same, you know, we would use the same thing on whoever we were talking to. Now, one of the things that happens on a boat very often is when the owner is moving around the boat, the interior department usually will call on the radio to let the crew know where they are. And this is for us to be able to go into certain areas. So like, let's say in the morning, he's in his cabin. So the deckhands will be out on deck. They'll wash down all the decks to make it look nice. Now the boss comes out of his cabin, goes for breakfast. So they'll say, well, they usually use codes. So they would never say the boss. They would use a code like P1 or something like that. And they will call on the radio and they'll say P1 is on the aft deck having breakfast. So now all the interior staff who clean the cabin, they know now the cabin's free. So they'll go down, clean the cabin, make the bed, all that kind of stuff. So generally the codes, they have pre-arranged codes before the trip starts. So they'll say P1 is the owner, P2 is the owner's wife usually, P3 will be a child, P4 another child, the oldest child first, etc. As far as mistresses go, I mean, it's not a normal situation. As far as women, or as far as it goes when the owner is not married, or he has multiple females on board, they generally will be assigned a code. Sometimes it could just be their initials, and they'll say, TW is in the sauna or something like that. And it also prevents us from accidentally using the wrong name. We don't want the embarrassment of saying a name and then they're like, who's this person? And then you're like, oh, now I've said the wrong name. Sometimes it could be a word like pillow. So they could say 2 pillows in the main salon. So, only the crew will know what that means. So yeah, it's handled very tactfully. It's none of our business who's doing what with who. We're just there to offer the best service we can.